What's up, everyone? I'm Emily, Mr. M's assistant and editor. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the Nintendo Switch 2, its pricing, some confusion over game content, and what this could mean for the gaming industry as a whole. Plus, we'll talk about how Sony and Xbox might respond to Nintendo's new strategies. There's a lot to unpack, so let's jump right in. First things first, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. If you've been following the news, you've probably seen that upcoming games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza are priced higher than what we're used to seeing. We're talking $80 and $70 for some titles. That's a jump from the standard $60 we've been seeing for years. But here's the kicker. Nintendo isn't just increasing the price for no reason. The higher price point is tied to development, time, and the sheer scale of these games. Nintendo is aiming for more longevity in their titles, similar to what we've seen from big releases like The Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2, games that are packed with content and value for the player. Now, onto the Switch 2 edition games. If you're wondering what that is, it's essentially older Switch 1 games, being upgraded to run better on the Switch 2. But the catch? You'll have to pay extra for those upgrades. For example, games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are getting a $10 update for better graphics. But if you want additional story content, it could cost you another $20. It's a bit of a complicated situation because some reports say that you'll receive a digital download code for the upgrades if you buy the Switch 1 version and upgrade, but others are saying the Switch 2 edition physical copy will come with everything included. It's creating a lot of confusion, and we still don't know for sure what the deal is. Now here's where it gets interesting. We've heard conflicting reports from different regions. In the UK, Nintendo said you'll need to download the upgrades, while in America, they're saying the physical Switch 2 edition will include everything on the cartridge. So what's going on here? Why the confusion? Well, it could be a matter of region-specific packaging or even a software glitch that Nintendo is still working out. Regardless, these mixed messages from Nintendo are making things harder for consumers. And if you're someone who loves physical copies, this becomes a pretty big issue. Is it worth spending extra on a Switch 2 edition physical copy when there's no guarantee that everything you're paying for is on the cartridge? This confusion around game pricing and packaging also comes at a time when Nintendo is facing rising costs across the board. Now, let's talk about the big question. What's the price of the Switch 2 going to be? Initially, there was talk about a $450 price tag. And while this may seem steep at first, it's not entirely unreasonable when you consider the competition. But there's more to this than just the console price. Nintendo's Doug Bowser recently stated that they are not factoring in tariffs yet, but future tariffs could increase the price. If that happens, could we see the Switch 2 climbing even higher than $450? What about the games themselves? Higher price tags for games are becoming more common, and Nintendo is not the only one experimenting with this. In fact, this could set a precedent for the whole industry. When you compare the Switch 2 to systems like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally X, the $450 price tag doesn't seem too bad. In fact, it might even be considered competitive. But what happens if tariffs go up, or if the price of games continues to climb? This could be a real test for gamers. How much are they willing to pay for the future of gaming? So what about Sony and Xbox? How are they going to respond to this shift in pricing and strategy? Let's talk about that. Sony and Microsoft have both followed similar pricing strategies with the PS5 and Xbox Series X. These consoles launched at $499, with some titles like Horizon Forbidden West and Halo Infinite priced at $70, but Nintendo's move to bump game prices even more could push Sony and Xbox to rethink their own strategies. We could see both companies begin to experiment with tiered pricing models for their games, kind of like what we're seeing with Switch 2 edition upgrades. Sony might respond by leaning more into its subscription model with PlayStation Plus Premium, offering players access to more games at a lower price point, but with some exclusives locked behind higher tiers. Microsoft could also push Game Pass even more, ensuring that gamers don't have to worry about paying higher upfront prices for titles, but instead subscribe to get access to everything. This could also spark a larger trend in the industry, where subscription services and digital-only gaming become even more dominant. If physical copies of games continue to get more expensive, consumers might lean more heavily on digital downloads or streaming services like Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, or even Nintendo's own service. It's a new frontier for gaming, where the way we consume games could change drastically. And here's where it gets really interesting. If the Switch 2 successfully pulls off this higher price model for both games and the console itself, it could set a precedent for future consoles. It could force Sony and Xbox to adapt quickly, either by increasing their prices or adding more value through subscriptions and digital content. We could see a major shift in the industry as a whole. But let's be clear, this could also backfire for Nintendo. If gamers start feeling burned by rising costs for games, especially if physical editions don't offer the full experience, it could lead to backlash. Nintendo has always been about accessibility and fun, but if they start focusing too much on premium pricing, it could alienate some of their most loyal fans. So, what do you think? Will Nintendo's new pricing structure work, or will it be the beginning of the end for affordable gaming? Will Sony and Xbox follow suit, or will they carve their own path? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates. I'll see you in the next video!